Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Purdy, Chair of the Canada-Ireland Foundation. Thank you all for coming. We begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, and the Inishoabeg, and that this land continues to be home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We are grateful to be here together on lands that carry deep histories and ongoing stewardship. I'm going to try to, there's a lot of people here for me to acknowledge, so just bear with me. On behalf of my fellow board members and our staff team, William and Beatrice, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the main performance space of the Corleck, which will open in March of 2026. I am deeply honored to follow in the footsteps of Robert Kearns, the visionary founding chair, and to build upon the remarkable legacy he and the board have created. Their dedicated efforts have brought to life Ireland Park, Grisette Park, and soon the Corleck, which will be a true gem on Toronto's waterfront. Without Robert's foresight, determination, and generosity, our presence here today would not be possible. I would also like to warmly welcome the Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Ford, the Honourable Stan Cho, Minister of Tourism, Culture and Gaming, the Honourable Todd McCarthy, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, Honourable Caroline Mulroney, Minister of Francophone Affairs and President of the Treasury Board, and Minister Graham McGregor, who is the Minister of Citizenship and the Environment, MPP Don Gallagher Murphy, who is the MPP for Newmarket Aurora, and Mary Margaret McMahon, who is the MPP for Beaches East York. And I hope I didn't forget anyone. Don't worry, there's lots more to come. Don't worry. We are also pleased to have Her Worship, Mayor Olivia Chow, here with us, along with Deputy Mayor Ozma Malik, and Member of Parliament James Maloney. Your support for the cultural life of the city is deeply appreciated. I must acknowledge James for his leadership in establishing Irish Heritage Month in Canada. It has become a joyful and unifying celebration from coast to coast. And we are proud to see Ireland's story recognized as part of Canada's story. And James, we look forward to seeing you at Irish Night on the Hill later this month. We promise to behave, or at least to try. It's a pleasure also to welcome Ireland's Ambassador to Canada, John Concannon, Consul General Claire Fitzgibbon, and Vice Consul Cathal Sweeney. Your presence reminds us of the strong and continuing bond between Ireland and Canada, one we are proud to continue building together today. The Corleck sits on the waterfront of Toronto, a shoreline whose history echoes the many migrant stories in the world's most multicultural city, shaped over centuries by housing needs, industrial booms, technological change, and unflinching desire to build a better life. It remains a meeting place full of old memories and new beginnings. This once modest office building, surrounded by industrial kilns and working docks, is now in its final stages of being transformed into a new arts, culture, and heritage destination set within the stunning new public spaces of Bathurst Quay Common. The revitalization of Bathurst Quay Common and Erin Quay has been the work of many city agencies, and we thank city planning, corporate real estate management, parks, forestry and recreation, the Waterfront Secretariat, and Create TO. At the political level, we have received immense support from Her Worship Olivia Chow, Adam Vaughan, who is with us here today, Joe Cressy, Joe Mihevik, and Deputy Mayor Malik. From Ireland Park to Grisette Park to the Corleck, the city has been a strategic partner and a steadfast supporter. We are deeply proud that our capital projects have now been supported by all three levels of government here in Canada, as well as by the Government of Ireland. These partnerships are at the heart of what makes this place possible. The good news for many here today is that Robert is running out of governments. From the very beginning, the Government of Ireland has believed in the value of celebrating the Irish story in Toronto. Over many years, they have invested more than $4 million to honor the history, culture, and creative exchange that connects Ireland to this city and to Canada more broadly. It is remarkable, and it is something we are truly grateful for. And now we are honored to have the Government of Ontario join us in helping to complete what will be a jewel box on Toronto's waterfront. Their support ensures that this building will not only open its doors, but open them with ambition, creativity, and generosity. For too long, Toronto's waterfront languished. No longer. When we open the Corleck next spring, we will find ourselves a part of the new constellation of cultural landmarks along the shoreline. The revitalization of Ontario Place and the RBC Amphitheatre, the success and expansion of the Bentway, renewed leadership at Harbourfront Centre, and the remarkable transformation of the Portlands, including the newly opened Siga Park, all point to the waterfront that will define Toronto as one of the great cities of North America. At the heart of our planning is a belief that Irish hospitality and Irish art offer something deeply welcoming, from enjoying a cup of coffee on the deck, to hosting community meetings, to presenting new work in theatre, music, and history. The Corleck is envisioned as a flexible, multi-purpose home for our community and for every community to gather, create, reflect, and celebrate. This project has been a true collaboration. I'd like to thank our design team at Kearns Mancini Architects, whose thoughtful vision has guided every step of this process, and to our construction managers, Bosco and Verity. Thank you for your steady leadership and commitment to excellence throughout this complex redevelopment. William had hair when we started 10 years ago. I would like to acknowledge the many generous private donors, some of whom are in the room, who have supported this project with belief, trust, and heart. You have helped shape not only a building, but a legacy. And now, it is my pleasure to invite Ireland's Ambassador to Canada, John Concannon, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mark. Tá áthas orm a bheith ag an anna spéisialta seo inniu. Je suis très honoré d'être ici à cette occasion très spéciale. Premier Ford, ministers, Mayor Chow, ministers, members of the Federal Parliament, members of the Provincial Parliament, Consul General of Ireland in Toronto, distinguished guests, members of the board of the Canada-Ireland Foundation. It is an immense honour to stand before you today for this very special announcement. I had no hesitation when Mark rang the other day to say that this special event was happening, and I said I'm delighted to be here. The snow landed in Ottawa yesterday, but it didn't stop us. We're all great to have everybody here. It's a really important and meaningful moment in the shared history between Ireland and Canada. And it's not just about history, it's about the future together. And it's wonderful to be here with so much political leadership across at every level of government that has such strong Irish heritage. And we look forward to, as Mark said, having a special night on the 19th of November in Irish Night on the Hill, where we affectionately call the Minister of Ireland, Jamie Maloney, will be hosting with the embassy, and everyone's invited. But it really shows the connections between Ireland and Canada. And when you think just here on the shoreline here in 1847, I mean, Irish have been coming here for many generations, but in 1847 in particular, it was, we called it Black 47. Very, very sadly, Ireland was suffering a famine. Our population fell from 8 million to 4 million in the short run of 10 years. And Canada was a beacon of light for Ireland, and has been for many generations. But just to put the numbers on it, and in this city, about 20,000 people lived in Toronto at that time. Nearly 40,000 Irish refugees arrived into the city. And what did Toronto do? Opened its doors and took us in and looked after us. So when we were on our very, very lowest ebb, Canada was there for us. Toronto was there for us. And we will never, ever forget that. And we then came and built lives for ourselves. And the Irish helped build this city. It was Irish labourers who constructed the waterfront and the harbour walls. We built the rail lines that connected Toronto to the rest of Canada. We built St. Michael's Cathedral, and we quarried the stone and fired the brick that built Corktown and Cabbagetown. We set up the first fire brigade in Toronto and led the trade unions that that shaped the fair work practice that's now evident today in the province. And my favourite is the immigrants, the Irish immigrants who came down from Newfoundland in 1919. They'd come over and they were playing with Scottish immigrants, Scots-Irish, up in Newfoundland on the ice with hurling, our national sport, and they're playing shinty. Anyway, they came down to Toronto, and community was always a big part of what it means to be Irish. So they set up a club to help the young people to play this new game that they were playing called hockey. And so they started the club, and the club was called the Toronto St. Patrick's in 1919, and the kids were getting involved. But somewhere along the line, anyway, whatever happened, in 1926, someone had the bright idea to change the name from the Toronto St. Patrick's to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I don't know, Premier, maybe if the Stanley Cup beckons, if we could get the name back again in the years ahead.
We might be waiting a long time then.
But that's the backdrop when you think of the connections. The Taoiseach of Ireland, Micheál Martin, came across to Ottawa a few weeks ago to meet the Prime Minister, also of proud Irish heritage, and they talked about the significance of that time, of 1847, and that 180 years later, it's going to be 2027. And they've agreed, okay, it was a big moment for Ireland, but it's a huge moment for Canada because of what Canada showed was the generosity, the humanity, the kindness, and our country received that. Now, thankfully, things are better now. We're Canada's 10th biggest investor. We're doing lots of business together, 14 billion euros of trade. But they decided, let's remember this time, the special time. So they have an initiative called Canada Ireland 180, which will commemorate the 180 years since that time and reflect on all of the great Irish Canada stories in between since then, including all of the political leadership and all the businesses that have come. And we see the Government of Ireland see the Canada Ireland Foundation as a key partner in the Canada Ireland 180, but also as a key partner going on. And that's why, as Mark said, we were delighted to invest $4 million in this project, and we will continue to invest and support the project as it goes on. And just to acknowledge the enormous work of the voluntary board, the hugely generous board and executive of the foundation. And this is going to be an incredible positive initiative for young people, artists, musicians, thinkers, performers, neighbours, community will come together. And Premier Ford, it is the investment of this that you're announcing today isn't just financial support, it's affirmation, and it affirms that the Irish contribution to this city is valued. It affirms that culture and heritage are part of the shape of our community and our identity, and it affirms that the story of Ireland and Canada and Ireland and Toronto is still growing, deepening and full of possibility. And that's a possibility of hope, a future of hope and belief and possibility and confidence. And the future between Ireland and Canada, Ireland and Ontario and Ireland and Toronto is very, very bright. Thank you very much. Gurmila Magad. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here. Of course, want to acknowledge Your Excellency and our host, Mark Purdy, the chair of the Canada-Ireland Foundation, Minister McCarthy, Minister Maroney, Minister Cho, MPP and Deputy Mayor, and of course, Premier Ford. I want to express deep gratitude to Premier Ford and the province of Ontario for your generous investment in the Corleck. This support means so much to Toronto and to the Irish community. Being here takes me back 25 years. When I was a city councillor in 2000, I had the privilege working with your former chair and founder of the Canada-Ireland Fund, Robert Kearns, on something that felt urgent and necessary. In July 2000, I brought forward a motion to Toronto City Council to make the southeast corner of Bathurst Quay available for the Island Park. I believed then, as I do now, that we need a place to honor the 500 Irish men, women, and children who landed at this shore in 1847, fleeing the Great Famine. They arrived in a city, yes, of just 20,000 people. Many were weak from hunger, stricken with illness. Some 1,186 people died within months of arriving. It was sad, including compassionate Torontonians who came to their aid. These were our neighbors who show up, who cared, who gave their lives trying to help. That piece of waterfront land just west and behind us of where these migrants land at Reeves Ward became the Island Park. Robert Kearns have seen Rowan Gillespie's haunting departure sculpture in Dublin and invited him to create a companion sculptures for Toronto. 25 years later, I had the good fortune to see these 7 sculptures standing in Dublin, and I was able to be video linked to Robert Kearns, who's standing here at the 5 sculptures that stand behind us in Island Park. It was very emotional, because why from 7 to 5? It speaks to the heartbreaking loss of life of that tough journey. When Island Park opened in one summer, warm 2007, yes, former councillor Adam Vaughan was here, you were the councillor at the time, it created a historic link between the waterfronts of Toronto and Dublin. It became a place of memory, connection, and respect for those who came seeking refuge and a new beginning. And of course, the Cassette Park also celebrate the people that gave their lives to support these migrants. And now we celebrate the next chapter, the Corleck, a forgotten city-owned heritage building transformed into something extraordinary, a vibrant Irish cultural center right beside Island Park. I don't have to keep explaining how do you get to the Island Park, because it's behind, right? It's like you go straight down to the end of Bathurst and you make a left, and it's so much easier. When it opens in 2026, next year in March, the Corleck will be alive with the spirit of Ireland, a stage for music and theatre, a gallery, museum sharing stories of Irish heritage and immigration, spaces for community gatherings and conversation, a cultural landmark that celebrates Irish history, which is Toronto history, art and traditions, while welcoming everyone. From commemorating famine migrants to celebrating Irish culture, this waterfront honors the past and embraces the future. And I want to thank the province of Ontario and Premier Ford again for believing in this vision. Your support for the Toronto's Irish community means the world and will bring the new energy to our waterfront for generations to come. The City of Toronto is proud to have played a role. We contributed $4.4 million, leased the building at a nominal cost, provided property tax exemptions. We also opened the Bathurst Quay Common, a new public space to complement the Corleck. The Corleck reflects the spirit of unity, of coming together. It shows what's possible when we work together to create spaces that bring people together and celebrate our culture and history. From Island Park to the Corleck, from honoring those who arrive with nothing but hope, to celebrate the rich culture they gave us, we are building a caring, safe, and affordable city. A city that delivers for people of Toronto, the people of Ontario. A city that never forgets where we came from. A city that celebrates who we are. Thank you. And Minister McCarthy, come and join us.
Thank you and good afternoon. Contrary to what many of you might think, I'm not here to tell any Irish lawyer jokes today. But then again, there are only 2 Irish lawyer jokes. That's because the rest are true stories, I'm told. It is an honour to join my colleagues and all of you here today alongside Premier Ford for this very special announcement to mark the opening of the Corleck Theatre, a new community hub that will celebrate the heart, the history, and the spirit of Irish culture here in Canada. As an Irish Canadian, I often think about how the early Irish settlers who came to our country with little more than hope, courage, and faith in a better tomorrow, how they faced hardship, prejudice, and uncertainty. Yet through perseverance, they built communities that became the very fabric of our nation. Their story is one of resilience and contribution. From laying the rails that connected our country to shaping our politics, our arts, and our education, Irish Canadians have indeed left a lasting legacy on Canada's story. And so as we open this new chapter, let us remember those who came before us and celebrate the Irish spirit of hope and hard work that continues to enrich our great Canadian mosaic today. Thank you very much. And now, my colleague, the President of the Treasury Board, Minister Mulroney.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so honored to be here and stand at Aaron Key with Premier Ford, my cabinet colleagues, Mayor Chow, Ambassador Concannon, and so many distinguished members of the Irish-Canadian community as we celebrate this milestone. As a Canadian of Irish heritage, the revitalization of the Corleck is deeply meaningful to me. Today is about more than just restoring a building. It's about investing in a future that honors the past while creating something lasting for generations to come. Earlier this year, I had the great privilege of serving as the Grand Marshal of Toronto's St. Patrick's Day Parade, an experience that deepened my connection to our community and to my roots. The Corleck building honors the generations of Irish Canadians who helped shape this city and this province. It will be a place where culture is celebrated, where stories are shared and connections continue to grow. Thank you so much to the Canada-Ireland Foundation, to Premier Ford, Minister Cho, and all of those who helped bring this vision to life. And in particular, I'd just like to highlight the work of my friend Robert Kearns and congratulate him on reaching this significant milestone in the realization of this project. I know that many Irish eyes are smiling today. And I'll invite my colleague, Minister Cho, to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to share the fact that my government colleagues who are all here have some Irish roots. Clearly, I'm the most Irish guy here this afternoon, but not entirely untrue. You can call me Stan Cho today if you like, but I've also never refused a single Guinness in my life. And come St. Paddy's Day next year, I won't refuse any right here where we're standing. I joke, but also the Irish story that we've been talking about, and I think, Ambassador, you put it so beautifully, is such a Canadian story. Toronto, Ontario, Canada gave my parents refuge as well when they moved here from South Korea 50 years ago with nothing more than the clothes on their back. And this country, this province, this city gave them everything and their son a chance to serve. So it's touching to hear that, because that's how I see this investment into the Corleck, that it is an investment into Canada in general. We're some of the luckiest, we are the luckiest people on the planet. You know, we just released the Michelin Guide. There are 16 different cuisines represented within that guide. Nowhere else in the world can say that. You can go down the street and get the best Indian next to the best Korean, next to the best Chinese. And we are very fortunate to say that we get to live in this great city of ours, which in many ways was shaped by so many Irish Canadians who came here 180 years ago and afterwards. This investment is into that history. It's into the future. It's a celebration of that Canadian story in a time where some global uncertainty has made us understand how important it is to be proud of where we come from in the world and collectively our Canadian identity that we get to talk about and we get to celebrate with this investment. It's also big for tourism. Tourism is a big industry, 104,000 businesses, employs 300,000 people. It is $33 billion to our GDP, and this is going to be an iconic building on the most iconic waterfront in our country, which, thanks to the vision of Premier Ford, we are revitalizing, next to Ontario Plates, next to Science Centre, to a new and improved Harbourfront Centre. This will be transformational for generations to come. And I want to be clear, this investment does not happen without the leadership of the man I'm introducing now, the Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Ford.
Well, first of all, and I just have to thank everyone here, as well as the ambassador and Mark. But I'd like my friend James Maloney. I'm going to get you to speak after me for a few seconds. You're standing there stunned. Come on over here. Come on up here. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. And Triple M. Is there any other? Where's Triple M over there? Mary Margaret? Triple M, come on up here. Just because you're orange doesn't mean I don't love you still. And any other elected officials. Is there any other councillors? Because I think, do you know what's amazing about the Irish, especially on St. Paddy's Day? Everyone's Irish. Everyone goes out and celebrates, and I just want to thank you, Mayor, along with all my colleagues. And you heard from Minister Mulrooney. I'm laughing because I remember I called you and said, they want me to call you and ask if you want to be the Grand Marshal. And it was one of the biggest honors of her life, next to being the President of the Treasury, right? And obviously, Todd McCarthy. And Todd was a good friend, a very good friend, actually, and a partner with Jim Flaherty. I'll never forget Jim calling my brother Rob up and saying, Rob, we need $7 million to fix the wall. I guess the wall was broken along here. And it looks like a beautiful wall from the picture. And Rob obviously can never say no to Jim or the Irish. And it goes back to a little bit about our heritage. So I guess everyone knows Henry Ford. No, I'm not related whatsoever. But Henry Ford's father was born in County of Cork. I hope I got that right, County of Cork. And so Henry Ford was going over there. And he was going to make a donation, so donation to the hospital. Well, he goes up there, and what he didn't know that day, I guess he didn't read the paper, but they made a mistake in the paper. He was going to give a $5,000 donation to the hospital, and the editor actually slipped in $50,000 donation. So he goes up, and the mayor's speaking, and he says, Mr. Ford, we want to thank you for your massive contribution of $50,000 to this hospital. The crowd's going wild, the town's going wild. And Henry Ford pulls him back and says, I said 5,000, not 50. He said, well, Mr. Ford, you go tell all those screaming, yelling people that you're only going to do 5. Needless to say, they got their $50,000. But this just adds to our beautiful waterfront, and I hope they have a pub up there because I can't wait. Even though I don't drink, I'll pay for the drinks. But is that a pub up on top there? Maybe we put some on the waterfront as well, and get that going. We have the 4.6 million. I'm not reading my notes. I should be. I'm just going to close my notes. But I think it's 4.6 million people from Irish heritage, and I guess the Fords are one of them. But I looked in the U.S. too. There's over 30 million people of Irish heritage, and I was shocked when I saw the stat that 1 in 5 people from New Hampshire. So if it's per capita, I guess New Hampshire, I always right away, I think Massachusetts, Boston, and New York, but they were second and third. But I just want to thank the Irish community as a whole. When they came over here, they worked, they built the city and became elected officials. And I got to give a shout out to a friend, and that's Chief McCormick, the first Irish police chief. And even back then, and that wasn't too long ago, there were people saying, we can't have a Catholic Irish chief. And thank God we did, because he is one of the best chiefs we've ever seen here, and just a friend of the families of McCormick's over a number of years. And I just want to thank everyone. And I can't wait to get this open. We'll be here. And it's just another piece of our art and our culture here, and the diversity that we show around the world, that 110 nationalities represent Ontario. Think of that, 110 nationalities, and the dialects are close to 200 dialects of these nationalities when they speak as well. So we live in the greatest jurisdiction anywhere in the entire world, and you can just see that when we're all together, all different political stripes, we all get along. I even have my two great Liberal friends in Triple M. I call Mary Margaret McMahon Triple M. She's such a wonderful person. And I could never get upset with Triple M down at Queen's Park because we sat beside each other for, 4 years? Now, I could get upset with Adam Vaughan over there for sitting, he sat behind me and dinged me on the head every single time I went, but I liked Adam because he's supporting Ontario Place, the greatest place ever. And so James, he's done incredible work, not just for the Irish community, but the Etobicoke community, and especially Etobicoke Lakeshore. He's been elected, term after term after term. You've been around since Moses. But he's the type of guy you pick up the phone, and he can pick up the phone, and you have a great conversation. So let's book a date, James, and Triple M, the rest of us, to be here on the ribbon cutting, and I'll buy you a beer, you buy me a chocolate milk, and we're all good. So I'm going to hand it over to my friend James, just an absolute champion. Thank you.
A surprise, but a pleasant surprise. I mean, Mr. Premier, look, it's an honor to be here. So much of what has been said bears repeating. We're on Toronto's waterfront. This landmark represents a journey in Canada like no other, in my opinion. And now it's part of this beautiful park, this beautiful building, Billy Bishop Airport. This entire waterfront represents what Toronto stands for. And this immigration story in 1847 that the ambassador spoke about briefly is the single greatest immigration story in Canadian history. I was down here with a number of my colleagues this summer, and I was telling them, we were coming along by boat, and I was, of course, saying, there's Ireland Park, you got to see the Corleck building. And, okay, yeah. I said, let me tell you why it's important. And when you tell them the numbers, it's 20,000 people, and then 38,000 people arrive in 6 months. And these people arrived here facing religious differences. They were sick, they were dying, and they're welcome. It is what Canada's about. And that's why this park and this building are so important. But it was a long journey to get here. You gave me the mic, Premier, sorry. I am Irish. It was a long journey to get here, but it brings together, the City of Toronto, the provincial government, the federal government, the government of Ireland. Under the leadership of the Canada-Ireland Foundation, so many of the board members are here. The brainchild, this was the brainchild of Robert Kearns, who is, you should have gone into politics, Robert. Let me just, so as I said, all levels of government participated. I was in Carlingford, Ireland a few summers ago with Robert. We were at the Darcy McGee conference, and Minister Elliott was there for the provincial government. She was the Minister of Health at the time, and Robert can charm money out of anybody. So he stands up and gives a speech at this dinner, and he's talking about how the healthcare system in Ontario was founded by the Irish people. And it was so compelling, I almost had a tear in my eye. I said to him after, I said, Robert, if I had told you halfway through that speech that she had just become the Minister of Justice, he probably wouldn't have skipped the breath and said, and they were the foundation of the justice system as well. But ultimately, it took the leadership of you, Mr. Premier, and I just want to say thank you, sir, for doing this. Thank you for you and your colleagues for being here today. I've known Todd for a long time. Minister Cho, I've come to know over the years. And of course, I get people call me Mulroney all the time. But it's a real pleasure. And in March, this is going to become the gem of the Toronto waterfront. So thank you, Premier. Thank you.
So I do, and Robert would love to hear from yourself, but I call her Triple M affectionately, Mary Margaret McMahon, since it's your neck of the woods.
You think I'm a little Irish with that name? I'd like to thank a couple extra people here who people might not know the whole story. But when I was city councillor, we were trying to get carriage of this building, and how can we do that? And it was the brains of John Livy, who was deputy city manager at the time, Brian Bowen, who was the mastermind behind everything, design related to this space, and Michael Williams, Economic Development King at the city. And so shout out to these guys who were the brains to get this building into the hands of the illustrious Robert Kearns and William Pete. And also a thank you to two other people who are not here today. I dragged them down, as I do with people. Mr. Cho, you know what that's like. I dragged down Minister Neil Lumsden, who was Tourism, Culture and Sport, and Minister Michael Ford, who was Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, to see the building, and they even toured the silos. So they kind of planted the seed, and it was a work in progress and a mutual effort to get this funding, and it's the final piece in the puzzle of this beautiful building. Thank you for taking all my texts, Stan Cho, late at night. But we got the money, and what do they say in Irish? That the crack is mighty. Get ready for the crack next March.
So, Robert, with all the stories, sounds like you're the star of the show, but you got to come up here, my friend, and just say a few words. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm very grateful to everyone who's here today. Gosh, I don't know how to thank everybody. I was saying earlier on to James that what's really important about this third part of the journey, Ireland Park, Grosset Park, and now the Corleck, it evokes that symbolism of the Celtic world, of the tripartite nature of it. And the name the Corleck was chosen because there are three faces on that stone head in the National Museum. Notionally, you could say one looks to the past, one looks to the future, and one looks inwards. But I think we don't want to be prisoners of the past. We want to be informed and educated by the past so as to live a better life today, but also to set out a more enriched and exciting future. And I think the next journey is about the future, about celebrating the contribution that people made from Ireland and how that's manifest in Canada today. And it's rooted in the kind of kindness and generosity of the City of Toronto, not just in 1847, but today. And, back in 1997, when I first started banging on Olivia's door, she foolishly opened it. And from there on, it went from there. And then to Jim Flaherty, whose name has been invoked today so many times. Jim used to say to me he thought that our sculptures here were better than the ones in Dublin. And I said, well, no, come on, they had a bit of time on the trip over. But really, it's about the very exciting future. And so I'm so happy everyone is here today. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone on the board of the foundation. And I'm very happy that I've been able to transition to a new team led by Mark and all the other people who are on the board who are making an amazing contribution to the foundation and to maintaining the momentum. And so this gift today, Premier, is really fantastic because it means everyone is at the table. The Government of Ireland, the Province of Ontario, the City of Toronto and the Federal Government. So as James was saying, we've run out of governments, so we're going to have to do a lap of honour. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I think, thank you, Robert, and all your hard work and passing the baton to Mark. You're absolute champions. Anyways, folks, I think we're all done. We invite everyone back when we do the ribbon cutting in the spring? March? St. Paddy's Day. Okay, so I got to tell you a St. Paddy's story. Okay? And it will be real quick. And it's about my brother Rob. And everyone knew Rob, and he celebrating. And so sure enough, St. Paddy's Day, and I call him up and I said, Rob, you're going straight home. Because I know he enjoyed St. Paddy's. Actually, Rob enjoyed every day. But anyways, he goes out and I don't hear hide nor hair. All of a sudden, I'm driving into the city and the staff calls and all the media's lined up outside. Your brother was out, at a bar, having a good time, St. Paddy's Day. They showed a picture to me. So I said, okay, well, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with celebrating St. Paddy's Day. So I go marching in his office and say, Rob, where were you last night? Well, I was sitting there with the kids. Where do you think I was? I said, well, they said you were out having a good time at a bar, and it's all right. Oh, no. They say that's not true. So I pull up the picture. I said, is this you? He looked at it. He goes, yeah, it kind of looks like me. And I said, was that your tie? That was the same tie you had on the other day. He said, yeah, but I wear that tie every single day. So I said, okay, no problem. 2 minutes later, he walks out to the media. I had a great time last night at St. Paddy's Day, out celebrating with Irish heritage and so on and so forth. But matter of fact, if he was here, he'd be enjoying this. He'd be supporting it financially. And I want to thank you, Mayor, once again for supporting all of this, actually. So again, God bless each and every one of you. God bless the Irish, and we can't wait to cut the ribbon. Thank you.